Yes. Hello, hello, hello. Whew. Everybody breathe now. Jola is here with you, coaching journey with Jola with amazing Klana from Berlin, Germany. Welcome,
Hello,
Klana.
Jola. Yeah, hello, Jola, and hello, everybody else. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to being on your show, Jola.
Yay! So, guys, if you missed my intro to Klana this morning in my post, I need to tell you just 2 words. She is the pleasure alchemist. How is that grab you? And look how I dressed up for the part. I figured it's too early for wine or any type of cocktail in US because it's only like early afternoon. So let me dress the part. Let me go a little kinky here for her. Let me see what I can get out of this girl today. Ooh, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm going to suck the informations from you, woman, because, who better than you can, tell some people, okay, by the way, maybe disclosure, for people who are uncomfortable with the topic of sexuology, sex generally, if the kids are around and you do not want them to be exposed to the topic, perhaps lower the volume or shut it off or just watch the recording when you're alone because not everybody is comfortable with these topics and we have to honor that, right? However, before we go to any of this, right, and answer the question how to live the life orgasmically, we're going to first ask you, Klana, darling, how are you doing in this time, in this time of chaos and disruption and quarantine over there in Berlin, Germany? I haven't been in your city, oh my goodness, over 2 decades. It's been a long time. I used to go frequently when I lived in Poland, and now, so talk to me, how is it there? How are you doing?
I am doing as well as I haven't done for a long time.
Oh
this might sound really weird, but I'm weird anyway. To be honest, this is, even though it's so dramatic and chaotic for a lot of people, and they are anxious, and to be honest, sometimes me too. It grabs me from time to time, the fear. But in general, I think that's the best that could have happened to us. That standstill of the whole earth. And I'm so loving to see how the earth is already
Shifting.
recreating, restoring. So you see that there's not so much dirt in the air, and in Venice you can see the fishes again and the dolphins come there, and this is amazing. And I chose to see those positive things.
Well, I always do. That's why I am so super pumped for, choosing this series right now, talking to all of you amazing people, co-authors of our amazing book one. Again, big kudos to Mirav, she's watching us. Thank you again and again. We cannot thank you enough for inviting us, experts from all over the world, from all different categories, including sexuology. So, my dear friends, Klana is doing well, but I would like to extract from her, what does she do that makes her feel that way? Because honestly, all of us can go turn on the TV, listen to negative news. All of us can get depressed, upset, and frustrated, and so scared that we'll be actually like scared to even move outside of our house to go for a walk, if available, obviously. But then we can choose to get inside, get better, do things that can enrich us, make us better, and simply improve our lives, right? So all the introvertics are right now, extrovertics, but we're not here for that judgment. We're here to ask you, what do you do?
Yeah, so first of all, it's up to everybody else how they feel, and I honor everybody's emotions and feelings.
Yeah.
And if somebody feels heavy and very uncomfortable in that situation, it is what it is, without judgment, as you said. And I think you need to honor your emotions. When the anxiety comes up in me, I don't push it away. I just sit with it. I'm trying to get in the position of the observer and say, okay, what's going on here? What happened before that you came into this position? And most of the time, it's something that I picked up from the outside, And then I thought, okay, maybe this is not mine. And then and sometimes I start to create thoughts, yeah, as we all do. And then I'm not in this present moment, because then I'm just fantasizing about things that don't exist anyway. And everybody knows maybe that expression fear is like, well, how is it? This acronym. I just have a blackout. It's false evidence appearing real. That's what I wanted to say, exactly. And then whenever I find myself to be there, I'm completely sure that I'm not in the present moment. Because when I'm in the present moment, usually things are perfectly right.
Yes, one of the topics in my high performance coaching is basically, when you talk about courage, it's about how do you actually face those fears, because you can be scared of so many different things, but yet if you don't actually face them, if you don't ask yourself, what am I really scared? What is the thing that I really am afraid of? There'll be no progress. There'll be just completely going backwards all the time, right?
Exactly.
So you are using this time to do what right now? When you are enclosed in your own house, besides just reflecting on life, do you have any other new activities that are basically available because you are more of that time at home?
Yeah, I'm more like an introvert, believe it or not, even though I like to be in those shows and talking to the public. So being alone at home is not so much of a deal for me, as long as I have internet.
Yes,
I must confess.
yes. That's
internet is really
all this nonsense gossip about chatting internet is just a gossip, right? Because that would be a problem. But that maybe would lead for more of activity that will be covered in today's topic.
Exactly. So what for me is important is, one is the spiritual aspect that becomes bigger and bigger for me in the last years, and the other one is the body. And I think, as you are working holistically as well, and we have the mind, not to forget the mind. So all of this together makes our human existence.
Yes.
And we shouldn't leave one of them aside. And since I am a body worker, my approach is through the body. And this is what I'm teaching people who are working with me, so that they can connect with themselves through their body.
Yes, that's so important. There's like again, there will be categories of people who will be like, well, I already know all of this. It's like, yes, you know it, but do you do it? Or another group of people will be like, I don't even want to hear about it. It's not for me. And then maybe people who is just very super open-minded, they like, okay, let's see, maybe I can actually learn something new, right? So again, no judgment. We are once again welcoming you, welcoming everyone who chose to watch us. I would basically tell you guys, welcome everyone who hopped on the call. We will ask to go ahead and give us all the questions in the chat below. We will attend to them probably towards the call, because I get easily distracted and I do not want to be not present with Klana in this call. So Klana, before we go into meat and juice of this conversation, tell us a little bit about yourself, how this became this body worker / pleasure alchemist. But you're also a coach, you are also a healer, right? How this became it? Because knowing from reading your chapter in one, I know it wasn't always like that, right? So because this is actually an excellent frame for this conversation. No matter where you are in life right now, and Klana will be a perfect example to it, you can absolutely change it. And I'm trying to show it in these interviews over the last couple of days with women who chose to move to a different place in the world, to choose live in the dream place, to a woman who also chooses move to a different part of the world to do her brand new career. You are on the same order. You go ahead, tell us.
Yeah, and it is so amazing what people can do if they just take the courage and follow their heart. So I worked, it was about 10 years ago, and I was to turn 50. And I thought, is that all that life is about? And I knew there was something more, but I had no clue what. So that was the first time when I came in contact with a coach. Before, I didn't even know what a coach was.
And that's really, really cool.
Football
But
coach.
Listen carefully what she just said. Just saying.
Yeah, and without coaching, up to this day, I would never had this personal development that I went through, and I wouldn't be where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever wants to have a change in their life and a transformation, I highly recommend you to search for support from a professional, or at least from a friend. But friends can be critical because they don't really want you to change.
Or sometimes not objective enough, and they just will tell you, yeah, you're good. But the point for you was you were in this business totally in a different area, right?
I worked corporate jobs, and and then I decided to take a coaching class, and I did that in Ibiza, a Spanish island.
Yesterday, I guess from Ibiza as well. Wow, we're pulling into Mediterranean, baby. Like I did not even actually know the piece that was also for you, the Balearic island of Ibiza. So you started your coaching there, and what happened? What happened? Like what opened up for you?
So how I learned coaching was through little projects, and one of my projects was, and I don't even remember how I came up with that, to do a massage course. So I learned doing a massage.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, oh, massaging and coaching fits perfectly together. And and then there was the demand to do massages in a different way, which I resisted for a while. But whoever wants to know the detailed story should contact me personally. So I will not tell it here because some people could really be offended about that. So at the end, I decided to bring my body work further and did another training to become a certified sexological body worker, which is not only body work, which means me working on people's bodies, but they working with their own body.
Right. And that's something we're going to touch up on later. But the idea of you coming into this new world of openness, of new possibilities, right? And something is starting changing in your head, right?
Yeah.
I want you to move into that piece, because this is a piece for me. When I read it in a chapter, it truly was that moment that I think this was a pivoting moment in your life. When you were in the relationship, when your boyfriend was asking you for...
Yes, exactly. So I forgot to mention that I was quite inhibited. I used to be quite inhibited by my whole life. I had difficulties to find boyfriends, and I was in my thinking was, I was raised like almost all of us in these fairy tale, romantic, loving situations. And this is something that I, how do you say that? Unlearn. That's the word. That I unlearned during my coaching training.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy about that. And I also learned how to communicate with the other gender. And that's also something that I'm teaching people. Yeah. And then I had that boyfriend who really loved to go to swinger clubs. And he wanted me to go with him.
Yeah.
And I was afraid.
And I don't blame you. You know, it's something that obviously I honestly do not feel I would feel comfortable either. But I'm bringing that for a very specific reason, because I want you to go on that you actually did it, right? If after some resistance, no, you decide to do it. And the reason you do it was because you set the boundaries, right?
Yes, exactly. Both of us, we were talking to each other. I told him what I was anxious about, and I trusted him when he said, "You don't need to do anything there, and we are staying together. Nobody else need to be involved, neither with you nor with me. And whenever you want to go, we can leave immediately." And that was the setting.
Yes.
And that was how I felt finally comfortable. And I was courageous enough to go there because I was curious. Of course, I was curious.
Yes.
And sometimes the fear is irrational, or let's say, what could happen to me there? The fear was, when I was really honest, that I might like it.
Hello. I want to ask you, did you?
Yes and no. It was nothing which I thought I wanted to do all over the time. So it was never such a pleasure for me than it was for him.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting.
It was interesting. So I brought this topic for a very particular reason, because I think it is so important, especially with the area that you deal with your clients, to have that if people are afraid to do something, try something first time, they are in a full control of setting how far, first of all, they can go, setting up the boundaries, having that, option of saying stop at any given moment, and simply just be open enough and check it out. Perhaps there is something there for me. And that doesn't go just for area of sexuology. That goes for everything in life, right? So when I read that in your chapter, I said, wow, that's brave. Obviously you weren't a teenager, you weren't even a very, like a just coming out of college or anything like that. Doesn't matter. The age doesn't matter. That for you was the novelty, right? And yet you said, you collect the courage and did it, and new things happen after that. So fast forward to you complete 4 years of school, you became professional coach, and now 10 years in a business. You do it. You're changing people's lives. You deal mostly with women, correct?
Yes, I mostly work with women, also sometimes with men or couples. So since I changed my place, I used to live in Ibiza for 9 years, and I moved last year to Berlin. Mm-hmm. So everything is still a little bit new. And
got it. Are you originally from Berlin, or you're from different?
No, I'm from a different area in Germany.
Different area in Germany.
I've never lived in Berlin before. Mm-hmm. So that's really a cultural shock, so to speak, from coming from Ibiza here to this big city.
Absolutely. There's no question about it. So, there's so many different places I want to start the conversation, but let's start with this. So, sexuology start at the very young age, right? We as parents, I have 2 children, many people who will listen to this have kids, and they always ask themselves the question, when do we start introducing the topic of sexuology to kids? Do you advise your clients on it, or you just let them completely take it organically, how they feel when it's right time to talk about this? Or do you feel that should be some sort of time frame when the parents should introduce the topic to kids?
To be honest, I don't know a lot about kids. I don't have any. Mm-hmm. So I didn't touch that topic so much, but I would suggest, if you ask me right now, as soon as it comes up with the children, you should talk with them.
Yeah.
And especially when one of the topics for me is self-love, also physical self-love. And when you see your child doing that, let them do that. And this is normal. It's completely normal. And I think most of the people nowadays will like
but
that.
I think it also comes from the, encouraging children to be approving their own self-image, right? Like, again, in the book you mentioned when you were a young girl, you were very tall, you felt like you were, let's say you went to a dance place, and then you were sitting very closely by the wall, you didn't feel open, and so on. So there's so many teenagers, so many young people that are feeling, because this outside social media, they project everybody has to be in an unbelievable, physical shape. Everybody is projecting all these almost inhuman activities that everyone can do. So that influences the kids. And they only brought it up for one reason, because it all starts at this age. Whatever is created in our brains, it can be obviously overcome. You are the living proof of it, but it's so much easier if we just allow it naturally, right? So I would encourage, I feel like, the parents to be open about this at very young age. In my family home, we didn't talk about these things. I kind of learned everything on my own. I feel like we in my house were way more open about this, and sometimes I'm even thinking, wow, I can't believe my kids are talking to me about stuff, because it's just very different. But I love it. I'm absolutely up for it. So now let's move to another thing that is really something that piques my curiosity. So from your experience of 10 years working with different women, did you notice that certain cultures, certain nationalities, certain groups of people are more sexual than the other?
What I realized, that they are more closed or more open, not more sexual. So the Americans I experienced as somehow more closed, at least in public. So you never know what they do behind closed doors. But even talking like I'm talking openly is way easier here in Europe than in the US. So I traveled the US in the last year several times, and sometimes people told me, be slower. Don't
piano, pianissimo.
You could offend people. Even I said, I'm just talking, I don't do anything.
I think it comes from everything as simple as just, but it's also very interesting, because I believe it depends where you are in US. You can be in cities like New York City or Los Angeles or any big city for that matter, and you won't find that closeness. And then more in the suburbs is a little different. But at the same time, if you bring Americans to Europe and they go to either topless beaches or nude beaches, they like, even we're talking about looking at bodies. And it happens here too. I went to California last year, walked with a friend on the beach, not even knowing that I immediately found myself between men walking with all the instruments hanging out there. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? I was absolutely clueless. I was in a nude beach. So not even a sign, right? So it happens everywhere. But that's something that, but I asked for a reason, because culturally, I feel like there is this distinction that people in the north, a little bit more reserved, a little bit more, colder, and the ones in the south are more like warm and open and more sexually active. That's why I was curious if that's something that you notice in your practice.
I cannot tell from my practice, but in general, what I know here, for instance, the Swedish, they are quite open. That's what I'm told. So of course there are differences. At any places there are people like this and people like that and everything in between.
Of course. I was just trying to instigate from you something, but I didn't get it. So it's all right. It's okay. I got you. You got to be very diplomatic so you don't eliminate your customer base. So, Klana, when you work with your clients, do you have a system of working with them online? Do you take them to like a retreats and stuff like that? How does it work for you?
So I wanted to start to deliver retreats this year, and I set some up in June in Spain, and I have no idea if this will ever happen this year. So now we all need to become creative.
Yes.
And I moved to online, as almost everybody. And that works as well. So I have a dear colleague in Luxembourg. We are cooperating, and we are offering, by the way, this Sunday, a breast workshop for women.
Oh,
so where they can.
Yeah. Is it online workshop? Yes,
it is an online workshop.
Is it open to everyone that would like to participate?
Only women.
Oh, no, no, but I'm saying anyone, like you pay a fee for it, or is it free, or how does it work?
No, it's a fee. It's 25 euros, and you can get the tickets on my Facebook page or on
Oh,
Eventbrite.
very good. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's going to be just 1 day, 1 hour, or couple,
It's 1.5 hours on Sunday at 8 Berlin time.
Okay, so that's
In the evening.
after change of time, it's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in US. And then you have to obviously calculate that whatever is in Asia, in Australia, wherever people are listening from. But yes, so that's a beautiful example how you can, take your business from offline to online. And
it has an advantage, I realized, because we did that same format last week in German, and now this one is in English. It has an advantage for those women who not dare yet to go out in a group of women in one room. So when we do it online, they can still a little bit hide. They don't need to do it on Zoom. They can shut off turn off the video, and then they can be totally
explorative. That's so cool. That's awesome. Maybe I'll check you out. I gotta see what time is my appointment, because I have a couple appointments on Sunday. If I'm available, maybe I'll hop in also. Generally, if you were to tell my audience in your area of genius of expertise, if you work with women, let's just concentrate on women, although couples obviously would make a lot of sense too. What are the areas that you focus on, right? That you highlighted in a book as well.
Okay, so when you work longer with me, then we go through a program somehow. So first we check out, where are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is then where do you want to be? And then you learn to tap into your personal power. To align yourself in any given moment, and so that you are able to decide and take action out of your inner knowingness. And then another important part is the communication. So
yes.
you learn how to
that word, right? Communication. Main thing. Like without it, we can even go anywhere, especially in the area of sexuality. If you do not communicate your needs,
but first you need to find them out. And then you have the tools to tell your partner, if you have one, what you need and what you want, and without manipulating them. That's very important to me. And then, of course, how to embrace your sensuality and your sexuality, and to connect the body, mind, and the heart. This is really, really important to me. So that you can enhance your magnetism, and then your confidence increases, and then you live your orgasmic life.
So, okay, let's pretend I'm coming to you. Let's just do a little role play here. I'm coming to you as a client who is not particularly shy, but I just want to discover what does Klana can do for me, right? So I'm coming into you, or I'm hopping on a call with you, Klana. I would like to experience more in my life. So what would be the answer to me, your answer to me to this?
What do you want to experience?
Well, I would like to actually live like even more orgasmic life that I live right now. What do you say?
Yeah. And how, for instance, but usually they have some kind of an issue, yeah? So where are you living in a relationship?
Or you're alone, or
own those things, because that is of importance. And where do you want to go?
Yes, and that's probably the time when you discover where the actual root of issue lies, right?
Yeah.
It could be maybe incompatibility. It may be some sort of shyness. It could be some sort of shame, some sort of guilt, some sort of perhaps even, I was thinking about this yesterday preparing for this call, maybe some people even find themselves that they are not even living in their own skin. Maybe they're living pretending that they are somebody else, right? That
Yeah, but some
gender.
people, it's the same that what you said in your chapter, you wrote in your chapter that you had a time where you didn't feel well in your own skin, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. So what can you do about that? Where are the reasons? So you took a completely different route
Yeah.
through nutrition and exercises. So
Yeah.
this is not so much my domain.
Mhm.
But I want them to feel well in their skin as it is, and
Yes.
then
And
they
I
still can
love it.
change.
And I
Sometimes,
gotta tell you, I love this piece so much. I cannot tell you, from working in this country, living in this country for 3 decades of, eh, almost, it just blows my mind how many women are literally living, always looking at someone else and thinking, I'm not good enough.
yeah,
I'm not beautiful enough. I cannot do this. I cannot do that. Yes, I came across women that are strong, powerful. They know what they want. They are, very like confident in themselves. But the general general public, the most of women, it is scary. So the fact that you do this work to help women loving themselves the way they are, loving their bodies, right? And
yes.
that's so, I commend you for this so much.
And this is really so important. And I learned it for myself because I never was adequate in my ideas how I should be, quite flat and tall and not at all sexy, what I was always thinking.
Yeah.
And this is just
It's
not
all
true.
here though. It's all here, because if we can switch it here and if we confidently come across that we are beautiful enough for ourselves, we will attract people out there. Because then again, you walk on a street sometimes and I've heard the very judgy comments from women. Again, from women, they come, and that's the scary part. Women judge women and then they expect to feel good about themselves. Oh, I cannot believe this ugly girl has this amazing, handsome guy. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. Maybe she's not that attractive, but she has some sort of beauty that other people don't see. She may be simply amazing lover, which you don't know if you judge her, right? So those are the things that really, really come close to me, because all this sexuology thing, it's not just about the act of sex itself, right? Which is really cool. But if you have the proper preparation, the closeness, the intimacy, the understanding, the acceptance, all that stuff, then when you can create these strong relationships that really can carry you for years.
Absolutely. That's true. And it's always starts with yourself. I cannot expect that somebody else makes me happy. This doesn't work. And if I think a man is there to complete my lacks and the things I'm missing, that does not work. Just imagine that somebody puts that on you, how much pressure you would have to
Yes.
fulfill those expectations. But this is what's happening usually.
Yes.
You know what, Jola? In this situation we are right now worldwide, I think this is going to change too.
Yes, it's we were talking a couple of days ago with friends that just like even have a silly hurricane here, or let's say some snowstorm, you notice 9.5 months later this peak in baby booms and stuff like that. This is global. Like in United States, they have a baby boom, baby boomers, right, and stuff. There will be a brand new generation born in 2021 out of this, and this population of this planet, yes, a lot of people will die, but it will be just replenished like this next year, because this will be the time where people will seek that closeness, that sexuology, that connection with their partners, perhaps with themselves, whatever that necessity is, right?
First with themselves. And then first with, I still say it, first with themselves. Because if you don't love yourself, how can you ever love another person?
I agree with that
And
100%.
especially not unconditionally. There will always be a condition behind it. I love you because I need something.
You know, Klana, again, this is such an important factor, such an important point. Think about all the people you love, guys, in your life. You love or you know. Who are the happiest people out there? They are that love themselves, right? They're not selfish. I'm not talking about the narcissists, right? That they just see themselves. We're talking about people who actually love themselves enough to care for them. And only when they are full, they can give it to others.
That's it.
You know, and I know it from like personal experience. I had my parents loving me more than anything in the world. Me and my brother were the dearest people in their lives, and I just sometimes feel like my mom didn't love her enough to give herself more than she could have, you know, like I try to learn from her mistake, and I love myself so much that I still love my kids beyond belief, but I know that I'm just as important, you know.
And you know, and this is why you are shining. You are shining bright. And this is exactly what I would love everybody to be. Loving themselves, that they are a beacon of light. And that's exactly what we need right now in this situation we are.
Yes. And so we touched up on this time in this global pandemic crisis where everybody's closed off, everybody has tons of time on their hands, and God forbid internet goes bye-bye, never, please. Then people will actually have to go backwards to reading books, you know, being close, having sex and whatnot. However, there is another aspect of that closeness, and that will bring another. People will also notice the incompatibilities with their partners, right? Mm-hmm. You will have probably tons of new clients coming to you, women who will actually realize now that they were so close quarters with the partners. More often they will notice there is issues. There is so many issues, right? And then I guess my question to you is, will you tell them first, look into yourself if this issue is always, right?
Always start with yourself. Yeah.
And so when I asked you about telling me these stages, I meant you described it really nicely in the book. Like first you start just like in meditation with breathing. So I want you to take us through this little journey, and then we see what kind of comments we have from our audience.
What exactly do you mean?
Like in this work that you do with clients, like, you know, you first teach them about breathing, about touch, all that stuff.
Okay, so there are a few ingredients for a good sex life.
Yes. And, you know, people come to this, whoever is on this call and listen to it later on, would like to have some tangible, you know, details. So let's just get into it. Let's get meat and potato of this call. You know, let's just give people what they came for. I promise them that the inhibitions is one thing, but then let's just, you know, some things are obvious. And if you don't do them and they not obvious to you, then obviously you need to see Klana on her side. But if you think you know them, common sense is not always common practice, right? So let's revisit some topics. No, so the breathing. You know, you would think breathing. Well, I'm breathing, I'm alive, But
with the breath, you can regulate your arousal, for instance. So you say if you are hyperventilating, usually you are anxious or whatever, and then take a deep breath.
You calm yourself down.
And then you can calm you down. So everybody has experienced that. And when you start breathing more agitated, you can bring yourself into arousal. So what I wanted to say, what works when you are building up your arousal in a sexual encounter or with yourself or with a partner, you start breathing heavier and faster. And that works also the other way around. So you can breathe yourself into arousal.
Wonderful, and it goes with all the coaching techniques in other areas of life. I'm just saying, sex is just like a one small element of everything else we do, right? How often when I teach my clients some breathing techniques or meditations, I said, look, if you need in the next 30 minutes, bring yourself into this energetic state that you go and you kill that conversation, you kill this business deal, and you felt so sluggish, let's do some breath scaling, and you bring yourself where you need to be, right? So this is exactly what you're teaching with this. You want to feel better? Then let's do some quick breathing. Let's go, you know? And then if you feel that sometimes you need to calm down, then you start slowly slowing your breath, and then. So that's one. Number two is what?
Then make sounds. Try out to moan or whatever. I used to be always very calm, and doing those trainings and discovering my own sexuality, I started to discover that that turns me on.
Sounds, yes. So basically making some sort of noises. And again, it's very individual. You may hate it, you may not, but just experiment with it. And, like I said, it's crazy how something like that, and it's just like, listen, we may be preaching to a choir. Maybe people actually shut off and say, oh, we already know that. That's fine too. Go ahead. What else can you teach me there? Maybe nothing we can teach you, but just listen. Listen, just listen. So there is another thing. Some people will say, experiment with different toys to make it exciting, right? And you can use anything that your imagination brings. And again, you bring the idea of feathers, ideas of little ice cubes, ideas of clothespins, or whatever that thing may be. Just think about this. I mean, why not to experiment, right? I mean, it's a cool thing. Like it's not like we're going to give a class how to do that or nothing like that, but just the idea, right? Just the idea. Yeah. If we can help it, why not? And then, especially for women who are wondering why their life sometimes doesn't go in the direction it's going, what would you say to them?
Do it as often as possible. And now we have so much time. So take your time every day.
Yeah,
and explore yourself. Find out what you like. Find out where are your erogenous zones. What is yours and what is not yours. And then if you know that, then you can share with a partner.
Yeah, and there's so many amazing things even in your own house, starting from a freaking lighting to music, to candles, to scents, to incense, to whatever. Just throw some velveteen sheets, throw some ropes, do whatever, role play. I don't know. I mean, there's millions of things you can do to make it spicy and interesting, and you put the freaking choker like me for this interview. I am not an S&M person, God forbid. And here, look at it, me role playing with Klana today. By the way, that's another important thing. When clients come to you and they say, look, I am into this weird thing. Do you deal with them in this department as well? Or you help them understand that there's nothing weird? How do you go about that?
No, there is nothing weird. As long as I don't know what to do, I try to find somebody else who can tell them. But there's nothing weird. No, I think everything is okay as long as it is consensual.
That's right. That's another key
That's
point.
The only thing that is necessary. And otherwise, you can do everything you love to do as long as you find a counterpart who loves that too.
There you go. There you go. We could close right now, right? that would be enough.
I say, okay, this is nothing for me, and that's my decision.
Yeah. Let me look what our if we have any questions. I always tell people that if they perhaps have questions, they can always get to us later. At the moment, I don't see any questions because, like I said, some people may want to reach to us, privately about some issues or things that they would like to ask. But I feel that topics like experimenting, being creative, creating special, how should we put it, even areas of interest between friends. I'm not talking about swingers clubs, but just like getting this interest, picking the interest and making it exciting. I think that's what could bring this whole new game to a brand new level. Isn't it true?
Yeah.
So,
and always keep in mind that, in my opinion, sexual energy is life energy.
Oh, yes.
So this is really the basis for everything else in your life.
Yeah, I love it. And like, when you look into all the chapters in our book, one, right? The balance between body and soul, and the spirit and mind, everything is connected. So we can, do certain things with our body, have the mindset, and then it creates this beautiful dance, right? It's like a dance. It's like you, and this is another thing, actually, I wanted to ask you before, and I kind of forgot about this. There is this urban legend, I'm really curious about this, if you agree, that people who love to dance, who are amazing dancers, that there is something more sexual about them, that they are better in bed, let's say, and stuff like that. Have you ever heard about that?
No, but when I haven't tested it, but I can see that it looks like it when they are dancing and they are fully embodying life. Yeah, I think they feel well in there.
Yeah. So listen, people, we need these
about.
dance parties, even in the close quarters. Let's get their breathing going, and let's go. It's Friday night coming up soon for both of us. Let's get the game on, right? Game on, people. Let's enjoy. Klana.
By the way, we forgot something before when we mentioned the breath, sounds, and then the third thing is movement.
Here we go. Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. I kind of brought this dancing to it, the movement, right?
It can be dancing. It can movement in another way. So not everybody is a dancer in that way, but everybody moves somehow.
Right. Yes. So either aggressive or sensual or romantic, or I don't know, like a hero pose, whatever that may be for you, right? Or maybe some sort of role playing. Who the hell knows, right? Oh, Klana, thank you so very much. Listen, it was a pleasure to have you. I want to thank you for your time. I hope that at the end of all this, we come up closer with ourselves, closer with our partners, closer as a general, global community. In the book there, you offer a gift, which is a conversation that you can have with people to, basically give them some sort of assessment where they are, right?
Yeah.
Will you give my audience the handles on social media and your website where they can find you?
Yes, of course.
And also that goes for that workshop about breasts that the women can attend this coming Sunday at 8 p.m. in Europe and at 2 p.m. in US on East Coast. So that's something that Klana offers for her clients.
Yeah. And my Facebook page is klana.tv. So you should find me there with Klana and then TV. And my website is klana.us, the English website.
Klana.us, just like that?
Exactly, klana.us.
Yeah.
So you find the information of what I offer on the klana.us, and you can also subscribe if you want and get a little
And what
gift.
is the website that I've seen here as well? I'm not sure if I got this right or not. It was talktoklana.us.
The talktoklana.us is the way where you can ask for a conversation with me.
Oh, got it. I got it. Okay, awesome. Oh my goodness. Thank you so very much. You know that I will be contacting you because I'm always open for new things. Not that I'm some sort of uneducated girl, not like that. But I always feel that we all can get better with anything you do, right? And that's the whole point. There is always, I'm a high performer with every area of my life. I want to get to the next level. So this is
that. You are a real power woman.
I am, baby. And so are you. Listen, I am super congratulations on everything. Congratulations on being the best-selling author, just like myself, with this book.
Yes, you too.
On everything. And I really, truly hope that we get to meet in real life soon after all this nonsense is over, perhaps somewhere in Europe, perhaps somewhere on this coast. Just life goes on, right? We're going to make it through.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you. It was really fun.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna close this recording now.